Guild Wars 2, a game that over a decade ago had me with zero social life and watching the gold ore price on the trading post like as if it was a cryptocurrency exchange. Now I've returned. After a long wait, I've come back with crippling back pain, a son, a wife, 3 mortgages, a 8 to 5, a 9 to 5, a 6 to 7, and absolutely zero free time. I have returned to attempt to obtain not only one legendary, not just 2 legendaries, but to combine the 2 of them together to obtain the ultimate in greatswords in MMOs, that being the Greatsword Eternity. Hopefully you'll be able to join me as I continue my journey and, if we have any luck, one day manage to obtain this peak pinnacle of MMO game gear design. So let's dive right in and begin the journey once more. Now, for those who don't know the rules, we'll be going through them super quick. So, only gold that I make on this character can be used, only mats farmed by this character or bought by this character using the gold it makes can be used, another crafter can be used, but must use this character's golden mats. I can or have to complete the area before I can continue. I can return to any town, city, previous area, but I cannot go into a new area to quest or farm gold or anything, and of course I cannot be donated nor beg for gold on this character. We start this episode with 22 gold 36 silver in our bag and 3 gold 61 silver. The character has made so far 4 gold 25. Now we're going to be heading into the Gendarran fields. This is the 3rd zone that we'll be entering into, and this region will keep us in the 30s. We'll go from around level 32 all the way to level 37. Now just to touch on the area and some of the challenges a little bit. So this continues the trend that I'm kind of feeling and facing, whereby for the most part a lot of our enemies have been pirates, bandits, centaurs, and obviously in terms of the ocean, a couple of quaggan slash crates, I think they're called. The thing is this area tended to kind of ramp up 2 different factions. So one, we fought a lot of pirates. So in the ocean sections and kind of like the bottom right hand corner, we found a lot of pirates, but also we fought a lot of centaurs. So I feel like the escalation of the human centaur conflict, or the regional centaur conflict, obviously escalated in this area. But the map is big. The map is like very, very, very big. It had a lot of waypoints, I think 22 in total. It had a lot of points of view, 8, and it had a lot of objectives, 18. And obviously in between doing all of the different kind of activities that we had to do, a lot of what I was doing was farming. So I was farming a lot of mats in this area, mining, lumber farming, farming food, etc., mat drops, enemy drops, but just mainly farming. Like there was a lot of space in between objectives, whether it was quests or vistas, jumping puzzles, bosses, hero points. There was map space, and in the space was a lot of mats. As you guys know, I'm currently liquidating every single mat that I obtain on this character so far. A lot of that is just because I want to create liquid gold to better focus on my crafting professions a bit later on. It also just allows me at this point in time to kind of focus on having only one goal in mind, which is the level right now, get a little bit of map completion and just get really a bit more familiar with the character overall, which I think is something quite important. In terms of progress for this, we still haven't done any story so far, but we just wanted to keep leveling. I wanted to try and get close to the halfway mark. We ended up at about level 38, which is decent. We also managed to do some events with other players, which was good. But realistically, I just wanted to kind of push us to that level 40 mark. I want to get a decent ways leveled. Next session we'll probably go back, do quite a bit of story just to kind of push that along as well. But I really wanted to push to level 40, kind of get a couple bit of zones done, and just generally get our character going. See, the thing is with Guild Wars is the game doesn't really start until you get to level 80. You need to get to level 80, you also need to get to the level 80 zones. So my goal is to 100% complete a couple zones to the point where we are at least kind of operating with, you know, some zones completed and the ability to head into some in-game zones without, you know, being completely tied down. This will allow me to farm while I maybe complete some other areas, other tasks, etc. Now, one thing I did like about this zone was it was quite diverse. We had a couple snowy areas, we had a couple caves, we had a couple cave systems to fight into, we had centaurs, we had pirates, which have kind of been traveling through the different zones. But because we're kind of getting closer to the snowy mountains, the snowy peaks and that, we can definitely see that there was a change in the environment. And I think this was well needed. You know, at this point I've been through 2 areas where it's a lot of green fields and lakes. And to start getting a little bit of a snowy area really felt like it was a good change of pace. So I will give the game that. We did end up completing everything, of course, with a final vista view, and then really we started to liquidate all of our assets, equip our gear, and plan our next step forward, which we'll do now. So in terms of this episode, we ended up making around about 22 gold 60 in our bag, so that's a net gain of around about 22-ish silver. Then we ended up, in terms of our box, making a lot more, up to 6 gold 18, which was a huge gain, around about 2 gold 57. If we add the 2 of those together, that gives us a total gain of about 2 gold 79, which combined with the 4 gold 25 that we've made so far, gives us around about 7 gold 14, which is pretty decent on this character. I also spec'd into firearms, and we're nearing that kind of 10 gold mark on the character, which is where I may start to look at doing a little bit of crafting leveling. Now you may wonder why I'm not leveling my crafting as I go along. A lot of that is just because there are leveling guides for crafting, and I'll probably incorporate that into a video as well as into the character. So it just makes sense to do it a little bit later at max level. You can make gear for yourself, but you're going to be progressing at such a pace that it's not too much of an issue. There are also some collections that we are going to be looking into and starting to look into to complete our legendary. We'll go through those in a bit more detail at the beginning of next episode, so if you want to see that, just hold on and wait, because we're definitely going to start having to get involved there. The big question that we have to ask ourselves does come down to the Wizard's Vault, however. In the Wizard's Vault right now, I think for the next 3 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks, there is actually the ability to purchase a legendary starter kit. Now, if you open up the Wizard's Vault is something whereby you gain points based on the amount of activity that you have in the game. The more you play the game, the more points you get in the Wizard's Vault. It's kind of like a battle pass. Now the thing is with this, in the reward section for 1,000 of the currency, you have the ability to buy a legendary starter kit 9. You can only buy this if you have the Path of Eternity expansion, which I currently do not have. Now I could buy this expansion and then farm the currency and actually buy this legendary starter key, which you can see on the far left there, which will actually enable us to buy or get the Sunrise Precursor, which is a big step towards obtaining 1/2 of the sword that is Eternity. Precursors are necessary to create certain legendaries, and so the Sunrise Precursor is a pretty big deal. Obviously, I would like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. If you want to see me do this, then obviously great. If you'd like to see me do it a little bit more traditionally, then yeah, of course I will gladly do that. I'm not too certain where this lies in terms of how people view these things. Obviously, it's part of the game. It's not like a paid for benefit, you just need the expansion. You still have to do the same activities in that as per before. Next session, we'll continue with some story and probably look at fully completing the Lion's Arch and Divinity's Reach areas for some bonus XP. But yeah, see you guys in the next one, and bye.